This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Welcome to the After Party live on Waterfall Wednesday. Tomorrow, Mark will be back on the Mark Thompson Show, and I just got an email from Wes. Hopefully, Wes is in the chat. You guys, Wes is amazing with AI, and he's always sending little tidbits about, here's what your voice sounds like in AI. Here's all what, this picture in AI. And he sent me this AI compilation of action figures, and I have to show you. This is crazy. This one I think really looks like Mark. So here he created these action figures of what AI would think that action figures would look like based on photos that he found on an old KGO website. And here's Mark Thompson's action figure. Look at the little KGO microphone. It's pretty accurate. I mean, there's some parts wrong with the face. It's not exact. Here's Mark's action figure, and here's my action figure. Look at that. I really don't want to look like that, but if AI thinks that's what I look like, then okay. But yeah. There I am with my action figure, my headphones, my little KGO mic. So I thought that was funny. Again, there's the Mark Thompson Show action figure. Thank you, Wes, for sending that. That's pretty cute. Thank you for doing it. Thank you, everyone who contributes to the After Party Live. I have some people to thank today because some contributions came in overnight, and I just want you to know that I'm really grateful. Wes coming in today, before the show even starts, while the Mark Thompson Show was on, he contributes $5 to the After Party Live. Huge thank you, Wes. Really, thank you very much. A recurring payment from Joe F, James S with a recurring payment, Janet W, Donald S. These are just a few of the contributions to the After Party Live that came in through the overnight via the PayPal link, which is in the show description and in the About tab here on YouTube. So big thank you to the show's contributors. It is Waterfall Wednesday, and I know we went to Spain to take a look at the Crystal Cave, so I had Spain on the brain. We'll go to Spain to take a look at some waterfalls today as well. But I have a lot of animal stories to show you, so let's get into some of the stuff that I found, including this baby vulture. And some of the ways that humans are getting involved in trying to save this creature include using a puppet to feed it, a hand puppet. If these animals get desensitized to their fear of humans, it could be really bad for them. And they won't survive in the wild. And so they take steps, these rescuers, to make sure that the animals don't get too comfortable around human beings. And part of the way they do this is by feeding them using a hand puppet. It's a zoo trick. They use these realistic puppets to feed these newly hatched creatures, including this king vulture chick. What you're seeing here is a puppet feeding going on at the Bronx Zoo in New York. It's the first king vulture chick to hatch at this facility in 30 years. And in order to make it look like it has a mother vulture, they're doing the hand raising via puppet. The puppet, designed by their graphic arts department at the zoo, is designed to prevent this baby bird from imprinting its human caretakers. This technique that they've done, that they are using with the puppet, this is something that animal wildlife experts have been using for more than 40 years. They started it with raising Andean condor chicks by using this puppet that was designed to look like an adult bird. They say that sometimes it's more than just a puppet, that sometimes people are dressing in full costumes, hiding their faces, other human features during feedings, all part of ways that humans are protecting these creatures from ourselves, from humanity. So I wouldn't normally say that a baby vulture is cute, but come on. Look at those white fluffy feathers. Cute little creature. This is another kind of cute story, I thought. Look at this. This is the world's tallest dog and the world's shortest dog. And they got together for a play date. It seems like an unmatched pairing, doesn't it? But they had a puppy play date in Idaho. The world's tallest living dog is 3 feet 3 inches tall. And that's a 7-year-old Great Dane named Reginald. And the world's shortest dog is 3.59 inches tall. That's Pearl. She's a 4-year-old Chihuahua. And they had this record breaking puppy play date. It all went down at Reginald's house, the Great Dane's house in Idaho. The owner of Reginald, the human caretaker, said Reginald's just a big baby. He acts like a human toddler. He said he's not worried that Reginald wouldn't be careful around the tiny dog. He said Reginald is really cautious and really aware. You've seen some dogs do this where it's like, they're big and goofy and klutzy, and then the minute they get around a small child or something they perceive as more delicate, they act accordingly. And that's apparently how Reginald rolls. The owner said, I anticipate he'll be really good with her, probably more interested in Pearl's owners than maybe Pearl herself. And Pearl's owner said Pearl is really fond of larger dogs and very friendly toward them, that Pearl has no idea that she's a small dog. And she's really playful with bigger dogs, wants to be around them. So when they met at this house in Idaho, they hit it off. The owner said it was a fun, exciting day, and both dogs were really impressive and adorable and excited to be together. They said that despite the height differences in these two dogs, their size differences, that they're more alike than they are different. They're similar in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I would have been afraid if I was the owner of the little dog, but it went very well. So, no problem there at all. The world's tallest and the world's shortest hanging out. It's kind of a hard picture to see in the in the foreground there. You can kind of make out this creature. That be a kangaroo on a freeway in America. This happened in Alabama in Macon County. Macon County, between Tuskegee and Auburn. The highway had to be temporarily shut down because an escaped kangaroo got onto the roadway, and this incident caused a 2-car crash on Highway 85. There was chaos on the roadway when a kangaroo started hopping around in Alabama. Finally, the kangaroo was tranquilized by its owner and taken back to safety. But the kangaroo had escaped from a petting zoo and was being chased for quite a while until finally it hopped onto the freeway. The Humane Society, or the Humane World for Animals, which was formerly called the Humane Society of the United States, issued this statement in response to this incident. And they say, whether it's in a petting zoo or kept as a pet in someone's backyard, captivity is really no place for a kangaroo. That kangaroos are strong, powerful animals, along with wallabies. They have been involved in at least 74 documented escapes since 2010, resulting in at least 17 animal deaths. So these are not creatures that you want to keep in a petting zoo or keep in captivity. Maybe in a sanctuary in Australia. Maybe if you're the San Diego Zoo and you have some serious experts that know what they're doing and you can create a large habitat. This kangaroo's name is Sheila, and she's the third kangaroo to get loose in Alabama in the last 4 years. The animal welfare folks say the public, law enforcement, and this animal were all placed in harm's way as Sheila, who was probably confused and terrified and lucky not to have been killed or injured on the freeway herself, stopped traffic and then It's they say it further highlights why animals should never be held as a pet or used in cruel, dangerous public encounters. So, especially wild animals like this. Yeah, thinks looks like everybody's okay, but that was a close one for a while. I This story makes me so sad, you guys. N- This is a story about reading to children. I remember when I had my kids, and my mom, who was a teacher for 40 years, said, you need to, if I could offer any advice, it's read to your children and start when they're infants. Read to them early, read to them often. That it helps you bond with your baby, and it also helps them create skills that they will use in their life. And so I did. Started at the very beginning. It was just part of our routine. I'm not saying I'm the best mom in the world, but it's something I'm glad that I did. Read to my kids. We still have sayings or quotations from books that we read over and over and over again that are meaningful to us. There's a study, though, that shows most parents don't enjoy reading to their children. Even if they do it, they don't enjoy it. And that's part of the whole thing, is having these moments, enjoying this time with your child. I mean, now I've got Julia, who's 15, and we had the best conversation last night about everything going on in school. Sometimes these conversations just happen, and I feel like I just got caught up of 2 months of her, not really opening up much, and then all of a sudden it just releases. But it's not like an everyday connection like when she was little and we were reading together. Those moments, I hate to see people not enjoying this time. But this new report from Nielsen and HarperCollins shows parents see reading as a literacy skill rather than something to encourage their children to love. If you come at it as, all right, guess I better read a story to my kids so that they understand reading's important, so that they, can see words on a page, so that they can familiarize themselves with letters. If that's your whole point on reading to kids, then I think you're going at it wrong. How about the stories? How about, that you get to snuggle up in the baby chair, or snuggle up together and read the book or whatever it is. How about that being the focus? Yeah. Wow. Less than half of parents find it fun to read aloud to their kid. Only 40% of parents with kids aged 0 to 13 agree that reading books to my child is fun for me. Again, the survey done by book data company Nielsen and publisher HarperCollins. And the study shows a steep decline in the number of parents reading aloud to young children. 41%, only 41%, should be 100%. 41% of 0 to 4-year-olds are now being read to frequently. That's down from 64% in 2012. I know you're thinking, Kim, there's a lot of people that have a lot of problems, and reading is not on the top of their list. They're worried about how they're going to pay the rent. They're worried about whether they're able to feed their baby. And so reading a night bedtime story in an idyllic setting is probably not at the top of the list. I do get that. I understand that. But it seems like such an escape too from trouble, from hard times, that this is the one easy thing that you could do together to create these moments. Yeah. There was a gender disparity also involved in this study. 29% of 0 to 2-year-old boys were being read to every day, or nearly every day, compared with 44% of girls of the same age. The one of the folks at HarperCollins involved in the study said being read to makes reading fun for children, so it's concerning that many children are growing up without a happy reading culture at home. It means they're more likely to associate reading with schoolwork, something that they are tested on and can do well or badly on, not something that they could actually enjoy. Gen Z parents, more likely than millennials or Gen X parents, to say that children's reading is more a subject to learn than a fun thing to do. That parents in that age group grew up with technology, so they think maybe that fun comes from digital entertainment and not from books. But despite the way they view it, Gen Z parents, most of them, still overwhelmingly see children's reading as a fun activity. 31% say reading is a more fun thing to do than a subject to learn. 35% said reading is equally a subject to learn and a fun thing to do. 28% said it's just a subject to learn. The survey looked at more than 1,500 parents with children aged 0 to 13. And it's interesting because I read so much to my kids when they were little, but in the last couple years, not at all. Jacob's 11, so he falls into the study, but he's reading chapter books on his own. The last book I read him, maybe last year, and we read aloud Hardy Boys mystery that had been passed down to me, and it was really old and it had racist words in it, and so I found myself like editing the book on the fly. Anyway, that's the last book we read aloud. We need to read another one aloud, maybe. Some parents stop reading to their children once they can read by themselves. That's me. Assuming their children will choose to continue reading, or that if they continue to read to their child who can already read, it'll make them lazy and less likely to read independently. But none of those things are true. A third of parents with kids aged 0 to 13 wish they had more time to read to their kids. The number of parents say that children have too much schoolwork and to read books to them, that they have to study, and so there's no time to read books, has risen significantly from 25% in 2012 to 49% in 2024. 44% of all parents agreed with the statement that reading books to my child makes me feel close to them. If you do read to your child, according to these study authors, they say kids very quickly come to love it and become motivated to read themselves. Kids who are read to daily are almost 3 times as likely to choose to read independently compared to children who are read to weekly at home. So they say it's never too late to start or to resume reading with children. And this story has inspired me. Jacob's gonna be like, why are you reading to me? Well, I read this study. Let me tell you. Let's talk about money, honey. There's this story about this guy who lost $5,000, and he's from Michigan. Man found this cash in the middle of a roadway in Michigan, and this trooper found it. And so the trooper or police officer contacts a nearby bank. They confirm that there's a customer that just made a withdrawal for the same amount, like $5,000. So the trooper tries calling this guy to say, listen, I think we've got your money. But the man ignores the phone calls, thinking it's a scam. The trooper said the subject must have been listening to our public service announcements on being a victim of fraud and believed he was being scammed and hung up on the trooper several times. Eventually, this person was convinced that the calls were not a scam, and he did claim ownership of the lost money. It appears that this man, after making the withdrawal, put the money in his pants pocket. Somehow it fell out. And then when the police tried to return it, he thought they were scamming him, because who's going to return $5,000? Apparently the police will. So there you go. There is a collection that is setting records. Boy, how long does it take you to collect this many spoons? This is a Guinness World Record for an Iowa museum owner's spoon collection. How many spoons? 38,162 spoons. This is a Cami Pohl is her name. She owns the Mississippi Spoon Gallery in Davenport, Iowa. I know. It's confusing. Mississippi, Iowa, where is it? It's in Iowa. She gathered about 2 dozen volunteers, and they spent 5 hours cataloging all of her spoon inventory to submit to the Guinness World Records folks as evidence. The current record for the largest collection of spoons is held by a man in Australia. He had 30,000 teaspoons as of the documentation in 1990. But this woman, Cami, says she thinks her record is greater than his. And so she's counted 38,162 spoons. And she said of his spoon collection, as if she was looking down her nose at it, his is all teaspoons. Mine are teaspoons, salt spoons, mustard spoons, gilded age spoons, spoons for centuries, she said. She started collecting these spoons when her great grandmother used to have tea parties with her when she was little, and her grandmother gave her 127 spoons, and this touched off a lifetime of spoon loving. Her museum, she said, is aimed at showing the beauty of her collection and educating the public about the art of silversmithing. She said people write them off as not art, but the details on these are delicate, and it means the world to me to have this record so that I can say, look at this artwork, and look, I got the record too. So, not confirmed yet, but she's looking at it. She's zeroing in on the spoon record, the spoon collection record. That's a lot. She's keeping the spoon holding folks in business. Look at all those spoon holders everywhere. Can you imagine every time you go out, you're probably looking to where's the spoon? Do they, antique stores looking at spoons? Yeah. I love this story, if only because the Chinese astronauts that just returned from space are being carried off in chairs, hailed like kings being carried on their dais. Look at there you go, waving, welcome home. These astronauts just returned from space. They are China's Shenzhou 19 astronauts. They spent 6 months in space. They were on a 183-day long mission at the Tiangong space station, which we talked about a little bit yesterday. The astronauts spent 9 hours on the trip home after undocking from Tiangong on Tuesday afternoon. Then they landed at a site near the satellite launch center in China in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Originally, they were supposed to come home earlier, but there were some high winds there, so they had to face a little bit of a delay. It's interesting the way they carry them off the landing spaceship. One of the astronauts said, I feel incredibly proud, happy, and full of anticipation. We've transformed the dedication and hard work of all our researchers into scientific research achievements. And he said, we are very proud of that. They did over more than 80 experiments while they were in orbit. One of them being called notable, they placed a brick made from simulated lunar soil on the exterior of the space station to try to figure out if it could help when China is set to build a moon base sometime in the 2030s. So, interesting. The space race is back on. And speaking of the night skies, here we go for May. Look at this. This is a flower moon. This this is one of the things that May nights will deliver to us. The flower moon, we've got the last meteor shower happening until July. It's supposed to be a great month for stargazing. We've got a planetary alignment on the way. We have a trade-off with warmer weather. And so the summer solstice is approaching. So that means that we are going to see some of the latest sunsets of the entire year by the end of May. Sunset will not occur until about 9 p.m. local time. in some of cities on the West Coast and then the middle of the country. Here, though, are some of the biggest events to note coming up. The Eta Aquarid meteor shower, May 5th and 6th. 2 weeks after the Lyrids light up the sky, the Eta Aquarid meteor shower peaks the night of May 5th into the morning of May 6th around the world. It's called the best meteor shower of the entire year south of the equator. 40 to 60 meteors per hour expected to be seen. Some people north of the equator might count up to 30 per hour. It's the last meteor shower on the calendar until the end of July, when 2 meteor showers peak at once. May 12th and 13th, we get the flower moon, a lunar event linked to changes associated with spring, called the flower moon because plants and flowers are in full bloom during this part of spring across North America, according to the Old Farmer's Almanac. The name traced back hundreds of years to native tribes. Other nicknames for May's full moon include the frog moon, the egg-laying moon, and the planting moon as well. And then on May 23rd, the moon, Venus, and Saturn will align just before the start of the Memorial Day weekend, the crescent moon serving as the centerpiece of all this. An hour before sunrise on Friday, May 23rd, the moon expected to glow between Venus and Saturn in the eastern sky. All three objects bright enough to see without a telescope, though Venus is expected to shine brighter than Saturn in this area. And then the following morning, the moon will appear between the two planets, but at the bottom of the alignment, just to the left of Venus. So earlier this month, we saw the moon smile, right? The cosmic smiley face. In this case, it looks like the moon is raised a little, and so it'll be less of a smiley face. But that's what we have to look forward to when we talk about the night skies in May. That flower moon sure looks pretty. I do have some waterfalls. Are we ready for Waterfall Wednesday? Here it is. It is Waterfall Wednesday, and this is the moment we take a collective breath and we have a moment of relaxation and maybe a little bit of zen as well. I like to think that it's the moment where we can just kind of release all of the ugliness that we've had to deal with, right? With all the politics and everything else going on. So we're going to Spain this time around to take a look at some of the best waterfalls in that country. And we'll go 10 down to 1. And here is the top waterfall in Spain. Have it for you. Let me take this picture away. And here's this picture. There you go. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that waterfall in the middle of the forest. So pretty. This is called the Cascada de Gerber, and it is in Lleida, Spain. It's this towering drop with a vigorous flow. It's always nice to have a vigorous flow. And you get so close to this main drop that you can feel its spray, but you don't really see the whole waterfall unless you get far from it. The waterfall was called a surprise by people who saw it, and it is the number 10 best waterfall in Spain, Cascada de Gerber in Lleida, Spain. This next one is pretty cool. It's called Cascada de los Litueros. It's in Madrid, Spain. They say it's easy to miss this one. That's what it looks like. Look at that. Beautiful. And this rocky outcropping formation here. It's off of a roadway called A1 between Madrid and Burgos. They say a lot of people drive by this without even noticing there's a waterfall tucked into this hillside. They also say this is a really beautiful waterfall, and it was near the scene of a battle between Napoleon's French forces and Benito de San Juan's Spanish forces. It's called an off the beaten path waterfall. It's number 9 on the list of Spain's best waterfalls. Here's one. This one looks like you really have to try to go to this one. Check this out. I mean, the vistas are amazing. And you can kind of see the waterfall in the foreground of this picture a little bit. This one is called Nacimiento del Rio Ason. It's in Cantabria, Spain. It's a plunging waterfall. It looks like a picturesque valley. And in the back, the only thing they say holding this waterfall down is the flow. But the scenery is so pretty that it made the list of the 10 best waterfalls in Spain. So perhaps when the rainy season gets going a little more, this one will be a little bit more powerful. This one is beautiful. Looks like a castle almost in the background here. So, so pretty. This waterfall is the Cascada de Urbaneja del Castillo. It's in the town of Urbanea del Castillo. And the folks listing the waterfalls put it at number 7. They say it was in one of these towns that looked too good to be true. The waterfall goes right through the center of this town. There are cliffs with natural arches surrounding the town. The water, they said, had a clarity that almost had them thinking that they were not in northern Spain. They said it was also not far from a town built on the top of a natural bridge. This waterfall, they said it had to be on the list because it goes right through the center of town and the water was amazing. So, really pretty. This one, look at a picture like this of someone standing below this waterfall, and it just makes you think of the awe of nature. Look at this waterfall. You can see this. I'll zoom out. See this little guy standing at the very bottom of this massive waterfall. Okay, I'm zooming back in. Oh, pretty. Look at that one. Beautiful. This one is called Fervenza Dotoxa or Dotoja, Orense, Spain. They say it's surprising. There's a hike down to this waterfall where there are ferns, it gets humid, it's in a really high rainfall area, and it seemed to be kind of secret, not very well traveled in this area. They said it felt a lot like the Pacific Northwest than it did the Mediterranean climate of Spain. The waterfall dropped 60 meters, made it one of the bigger waterfalls that spotted in Spain on this trip. But number 6, so it gets the midpoint. This one is pretty cool. I don't think you're going to see many waterfalls like this one in the United States. Check this one out. Look at that. Is that beautiful? Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see the top of this mountain. Yeah, that's special. This is Cascada de Ronda, the Ronda waterfall in Malaga, Spain, an Andalusian waterfall that they say embodies the country of Spain like no other waterfall they encountered. They give it a number 5. It is the placement of the arched Puente Nuevo over the Tahoe Gorge with the river or Rio Guadalevin about 25 meters beneath the bottom of the bridge. It was so iconic that they thought it looked like some kind of animated movie. The gorge was hard to reach, but because the folks hiked down there, they say it gave an amazing view of this waterfall. This is number 5 on the list, Cascada de Ronda. This next one is pretty cool. It looks like a really long fall. Cascada de Cotatuero in Huesca, Spain. This one is beautiful. There you go. You can almost hear that water rushing, right? It is the tallest drop, said to be, of all the waterfalls in the Ordesa National Park. 200-meter drop. They had to work to get a pretty good view of this one. It was a big hike uphill. Even to see this waterfall, you had to earn it. Not us. We get to see it just like this, so it's fine. But they say the experience of seeing it is sweet. This is part of the Spanish Pyrenees. The area is not well traveled, so it felt kind of remote and relaxing and invigorating. It is number 4 on the list of the best waterfalls in Spain, Cascada de Cotatuero. I hope I'm saying it right. This next one, number 3, Salto del Nervión. What a pretty view this is. I'm sure this is not easy to get to either, but look at that vista. Here we go, number 3 on the list. This is a plunge about 222 meters, the highest on the Iberian Peninsula, and you can see frames this scenic valley, so it's a really photogenic waterfall. There were eagles seen soaring in nesting spots that only they could get to. Not even a lightning storm that threatened this area could keep these folks from getting here. They said it's one of the most dramatic waterfalls near the Basque country as well. Really pretty. This next one doesn't look so impressive to me. It's in a pretty area. Number 2 on the list, Cola de Caballo. It's called the Horse's Tail, also in Huesca, Spain. We go from this amazing vista to a waterfall that looks kind of little, maybe you could say. I mean, it's a pretty picture. It's called a must-see in the Pyrenees. The hike here takes you back past 4 other big waterfalls, but the Horse's Tail waterfall, Cola de Caballo, is right at the head of all the action at a glacial cirque. So there's a clarity in this water. There are clanking cowbells apparently in the cirque. There are other tumbling waterfalls in the valley. So it's quite an experience to hike here and to get here and to see this Horse's Tail waterfall. And they said it had to be number 2 on the list. Here's number 1. Monasterio de Piedra. It is in Zaragoza, Spain. And this waterfall, I'm going to give it to them. This is impressive. I can see why it is number 1 on the list. Check this bad boy out. That's a big waterfall. It is, it's beautiful. It's they say huge enough in size and volume to stand on its own as the number 1 bona fide waterfall on the list. So that's pretty cool. There were in this area so many waterfalls of touring this national park area. They say they had waterfall fatigue. How do you get waterfall fatigue? I don't know how this is possible. Again, this is a Monasterio de Piedra in Zaragoza, Spain. This is a serious waterfall. This is really, really beautiful. So, and there you have it. The top 10 waterfalls in Spain. I think that we have come to the end of Waterfall Wednesday, but I'm going to say it was a good one. That's Waterfall Wednesday on the After Party Live. Yeah, top 10 waterfalls in Spain. I love it. All right. Well, tomorrow, Thursday, Mark Thompson returns to the Mark Thompson Show. My apologies if this show seems a little bit short today. Kind of hard making sure that I have enough for all the shows. But Mark is back tomorrow. It's going to be a really good one. We have David Katz on the show, so that'll be really fun. We have some other guests lined up for Mark's return as well. And then tomorrow night, I do a Trivia Thursday here on this show, of course, but I do want to mention that tomorrow night is the Nikki Maduro Show at 5 p.m. So don't miss it. Please set your alarms to remind you. I'd love to have you along. Cocktails, mocktails, politics, and a lot of fun. That's the Nikki Maduro Show, 5 p.m. tomorrow. So please join us for that. All right. With that, I think it's time to go. Please make it a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll meet you right back here on the Mark Thompson Show featuring Mark Thompson at 11 a.m. here on the old YouTube. But between now and then, make it a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Huge thanks to Doug McNeely with a $20 contribution to the After Party Live and a nice comment too. Fantastic shows today. Thanks, Doug. And thanks for supporting the show. Really appreciate you a lot. Woo! I don't know how I missed this comment, but I have to go back now and look at the picture. Thanks, Teacher Lori. Thanks for your nice words. Appreciate it. Click like and subscribe. Thanks, Vanessa.